rest of this series. And that is a part of League of Legends that makes reverse sweeps so incredibly difficult. Is the loser will always have side selection. So now you will have to do this 2 more times as Gen.G in this game and the next on red side. Very likely, unless T1 has a different plan, but with the strength of blue side the way it is right now, I just don't think that's going to happen. So step 1, don't get 3-0'd. Step 2, win a game on red side. Step 3, complete the reverse sweep on the second red side game, right? And I just want to set the stakes. This is so incredibly difficult to do against a team like T1. But it would be Gen.G going straight to the finals if they can make it happen.
Did Gen.G ban Jace? It's really been the one big pick that we've been seeing over and over for both teams.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I think it is a massive pick, but the Elise is so strong with all the other types of picks that T1 like to play around the bottom side, and it will just be the Jace going over instantly. See if Gen.G have a good response here. We talked about the Malphite priority. Maybe pushing that one up before the second ban phase could be another way to handle this, but it is very face-up if you do that. Looks like it's just once again going to be the Xayah coming through here.
Yeah, and that's pretty interesting. I mean, T1 are going to see this straight away. They can go Varus, they can draft more range and more poke and essentially just try to snowball and go through that.
They can also play Viego here. I think it's very strong. In this draft, Viego operates very well around poke, and you've got the Varus too. We have insane range, and Xayah is not very good into this type of poke. Sejuani comes through first, and now Gen.G have a lot of things, a lot of threats here in this second ban phase. Like, even the Renata Glass becomes a big problem here, because if you're trying to get on top of this Varus Jace, the Renata just says no. Also great into Xayah. And they will prioritize the Malphite here first. But there are so many ways that T1 could take this draft. It's incredibly flexible. You know the identity of it, but there are so many different things that can supplement it. And this makes it such a big challenge now for Gen.G. We'll see what they take away. I think Renata is one of the biggest concerns.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Renata can be very annoying as well. Playing against a team that's winning with Renata, even as Malphite, you know, maybe you can still find the angles, but it's also really good into Xayah Rakan. We've seen it picked into that so many times, so that will be the pretty obvious face-up first ban, and we did get Wukong off the board, so gonna be pinching out Peanut's champion pool just a bit.
Yeah. See if they want to take away... Okay, it's going to be Lissandra again. Taken away from Faker here. And they will have, of course, the counter pick for the mid lane here for Chovy. So you feel pretty good about taking that one off the board and having an answer. As the Viego is still something T1 are considering themselves, potentially here in this draft. So we'll ban the Ahri. See if Peanut's down to just lock in the Viego here. Doesn't feel very strong with this composition, though, at all. I'd even almost prefer the Lee Sin in this one.
Maybe that is the play.
Yeah, you can see Gen.G, they don't have a lot of great options here. This is a tense call.
LeBlanc?
And you could lock it and then wait for that final pick. And that is what is going to happen, Valdez. Good call. You ban the Ahri, Lissandra's banned, so there's no great response here to the LeBlanc in lane.
Yeah, and I guess that you save your jungle for last pick, which is kind of interesting. You don't see that every so often. Could have saved potential counter pick for mid, but instead they prioritized the LeBlanc.
We'll see if Faker wants to just try to play Gragas here, but you're not going to have prio. Talia has been very weak at the end of the season. Over Tom Kenshin in the bot lane. Very different look here for some additional safety for this Varus. Will help out against the dive quite significantly, but you only get one Devour, and there are just too many different ways to get on top of this Varus.
Should have played Kalista. Silas going to be the pick here for Faker.
Oh, this is greedy. And you can obviously have a better Malphite engage, but...
Could be top as well.
True.
Silas into Malphite. I think we saw that as well in Challenger.
Yeah. You're right.
So could be the choice for Zeus, which would be weird, but just because Zeus is such a great Jace player. What is the pick for Peanut?
I mean, it could be a Jarvan angle.
He's laughing. It's Olaf.
Oh my god.
He's laughing his way to an Olaf pick here.
Well, I mean, it's a great tanky frontline here. We add the Olaf and the Malphite together. There is a ton of power in the front of your composition that can run at T1, get through the CC. You have really good hard engage on this Varus, and the Olaf could just run at Varus, and then everyone else follows up. So you have a guaranteed way to get your Malphite into ult range, because this was another problem that they faced in that previous game with the Malphite, is getting into range of Guma, as it will be the Sylas you talked about here. Faker playing the Jace in mid into the LeBlanc. I think that the composition here for Gen.G is way stronger overall, even though the Olaf is arguably, of these 10 champions, the weirdest one we see. I think it actually fits the composition very well, and trying to engage counterwise with the Sylas into the composition of Gen.G by stealing the Malphite ultimate feels very weak into the draft that Gen.G has, because it has so much disengage. You're playing a LeBlanc, you have a Xayah. Will it be the Silver Scrape she's asking for?
Will it be the Teemo she's asking for as well?
I think that's less likely.
Not in this game, maybe in the next one.
Looking for that Faker thumbs up.
Yeah.
And so many fans drawing these signs for a Game 5 here for Gen.G, still believing, still holding on to hope. And at least to the fourth one, they have been rewarded for said hope. I think this draft might be, in my opinion, the biggest gap of the four so far, though. I like it way more for Gen.G. See if the execution is enough here, Valdez. As this is a risky draft from T1, but if it gets ahead, man, does it really roll?
Yeah, it really does slap once we do get ahead. But they have to get that snowball rolling. We'll see if Gen.G can get in front of it here for game number 4. Let's hop onto the rims.
Game 4. And, you know, the ways in which T1 have normally gotten ahead throughout this season, summer season last year, and especially spring season in 2022 has just been controlling early objectives, snowballing, playing amazing macro. But in playoffs here, most of their games have gone incredibly long, which is why I really count the late game win conditions of these two comps more than what they can do in Snowball.
Toby's in the top lane for now. Now, he could just be standing there at the level 1, but could have a little lane swap here, as of course the Malphite wants to play into Jace.
Yeah.
That's not a secret, right? T1 are the ones that are trying to mix this one up, as they spot him early. Could potentially swap now, but nope. And Doran's playing mid lane as Malphite.
Okay, so it's happening. And this usually happens with Renekton and Jace, the two most common AD lane swap champions that have been around over the last 3 years. So this means that now you're playing into a Malphite in a very short lane versus the top lane, where Chovy is going to have some additional power there into a melee matchup early. So really a smart idea here from Gen.G, and they were absolutely prepared for it.
I was wondering if, yeah, there it goes. They swap it on the Observer client.
Yeah, the very rare thing to see, but it is, whenever you see the mouse there for a second, it's kind of hyping away.
Yeah.
It's just such a rare, unusual circumstance.
Always hiding it. Yeah, and also got to keep an eye on Peanut's jungle pathing, see exactly what he's going to be doing on the Olaf, if he's just going to be power clearing, which is, you know, back in the days of Olaf, this is basically what he did. He clears the jungle so incredibly quickly that you just love that farming power, the ability to clear it out, and then maybe look for ganks, but he has really fallen off. We haven't seen him for 400 days. The last player was Kwangdong Freak's Ellen against Canyon.
That game wasn't very fun either.
No.
I remember that game, actually.
Yeah, in that meta, you're only allowed to play Hecarim or Udyr, so...
Yeah. It was an interesting idea, but it did not work. His owner's going to come here top and actually look for a gank onto Chovy, try to force out his summoner, but he does have distortion.
Yep. Should have it, but see the amount of speed on the stacks as down he will go. Oner just picks it up, level 3, quick to the top side, and makes the gank happen.
Yeah, well, you know, This is a pretty fantastic start, as now the wave is going to crash in here to top, or to the turret here for Zeus, and he's just going to have that there. Chovy is in an awkward spot here in terms of farming. Very disastrous beginning to this game, as you know, Peanut is just power farming, as you say, and Chovy is going to try to look for some kill pressure here. He's got the dematerializer to try to keep Zeus under this turret. It's so difficult against the Sylas. Just going to get that steal back of the health.
Yeah, he's going to have to TP back to this one, just like Chovy did.
Chovy has played top lane in the past. You know, we had some weird COVID circumstances and we did see it, but Chovy's always been a player that people have said would do better as a top lane player. But I think that is just kind of people's personal feelings about it. We don't have a lot of data on this. And LeBlanc is not a top champion, so hard to judge off of this game alone. As we see some missed engages.
By the way, it's been a very long time, but Keria was always one of our more aggressive Tom Kench players, right? And it's just going back to the days where we were just beginning to realize Keria's strength, and everybody was just playing it as basically a devour bot, which is normally what you would do, especially in the past when it wasn't your ultimate ability. You would just sit in the back and do that. As we're trying to swap again. The fans are really enjoying that.
Well, this is the thing that happens when you get ahead in one of these lanes, is you can constantly swap and push the tempo away. See how close Dorn is to 6? Looks like pretty far away, because he's not threatening here at all.
Well, you followed the swap.
Yeah, lost only a few minutes.
Only a few minutes and 75% of your health. As that was spotted, they know that Oner is here. Meanwhile, that's not going any better.
Dorn is out of mana. And now if he has 6, it doesn't matter, because we are swapping back. And this is going to be the Drake going over to T1 once again, every single game. Just getting his advantages early.
Oh, boy. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Faker is not scared at all, I suppose. Well, he gets the back end.
You know, Kronko did mention it on the space. A known tilter, and we put it. You and I just like looked at each other and wrote it on a piece of paper and put a check mark box next to it for some reason. That's what we do, but that's not going to feel great, losing your ultimate like that and just missing the recall there. So yeah. Very frustrating at this point in time. And Chovy's lost a significant amount of farm. So this is going to hurt his ability to be a strong carry in the mid game.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not too happy about that either. As Peanut here is spotted on this one, as that will go the way of Peanut, who does smite it down, but already in a lot of trouble as he does not have Ghost, he does not have Flash, he does not have a health bar. As over the wall goes Faker. Didn't have to do that, as Guma will pick up the kill.
Well, this game is looking really rough for Gen G right now. Chovy just desperately trying to farm it back here. Now in the top lane.
Reminds me of T1 versus KT Game 5, where KT got this massive early game lead, and we're like, oh, I guess the series just ends like that. And then somehow T1 fought their way back.
I mean, it's not over till it's over, right? But these are some huge leads for champions that really are going to accelerate quite quickly with them. Now, it is the lethal tempo Varus here, so it's not going to be lethality, you know, items coming in super early for him or anything like that. And it is, of course, a, you know, Sejuani that picks up the other kill. So it's not like you're really running away with this, but Jace has a lot of freedom in this game to farm. And Faker, you know, he did lose his flash, unfortunately, but otherwise is actually the highest farm in the game right now. So he is accelerated. I mean, these are big problems for Gen G when we start setting up for these really important objective fights. I think the reason why our UI is broken is probably because we unlocked it so that we could move these champions around. I guess.
I hope so.
But, you know, the Rift Herald is about to spawn, and that was the reason I mentioned this. Is set to Baron right now at the top right.
Yeah, okay. Just going to force out a flash here as the engage on the bottom side is decent, but now Pace has to flash away himself as Oner comes in with an ultimate, forces out the cleanse. At the end of the day, Pace is the one that uses both of his summoners.
Keria has a Relic Shield and a set of Dematerializers. He's just very tanky at this early stage of the game, so even though Delight has level 6 first, it's just so difficult to all in without your 80 carries ultimate. And they end up obviously trading down on this one. Huge win here on the bottom side of the map here as Peanut tries to hold on to this Herald.
He does have Smite, so pretty simple for him to just pick it up. Zeus going to spot that coming in.
It almost looked like he wanted to give some of that local gold as Zeus is going to get slowed.
Okay. Now he has to kind of go in. He has stolen Doran's ultimate. Just goes back in once again as now he's in a lot of trouble. Down he goes. But was he baited into a rough position as down will go Peanut as well. Doran just has to flash to get out of this one. As T1 will be able to shore it up a bit.
Man, this is the playoffs. You know, kind of, I guess, nerves coming through is the best way to put it here, that we are seeing from some of our teams as Keria is trying to take Doran out over the wall, as we're just seeing some really aggressive plays that have not worked out. And it's mostly been on Gen G's side where they have overextended in a lot of these situations. This isn't going to be the worst case scenario by any means here, and Chovy's actually going to be the biggest winner of this because he's going to get plate gold here on the top side. And obviously Zeus didn't have teleport, so this is actually still nice, but could have just cut your losses and gotten out of here. Now, at least, like we mentioned, Chovy's going to get tons of money out of this. Really good slows, picking up these axes and continuing the chase. And Zeus gets the double knock-up here, and that's the moment where it's like, okay, God is flash, he has to back, maybe we should get out of here. Because you end up giving over so much gold to T1 as a result. And Doran almost goes down, also has to flash. So, big win here for T1, and that exchange isolated. Of course, still, LeBlanc picking up money is massive.
Yeah. And they have this Rift Herald as well. Chovy getting that chunk on the top turret could open it up a bit more. As they will drop this Rift Herald up in the top side. But Faker just stepping up to it. Yeah. He's got Oner here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is not what you want to see on the side of Gen G. This is going to go down. They can't do anything about it. Could have even smited it if necessary. Not even necessary. As meanwhile, underneath here we got Featherstorm forced out. Retreat of ultimates as T1 are pushing the bottom lane.
Yep. Another plate going down. This is a disaster. And Chovy is trying to hold his own. Doesn't get the charge, so he's not going to get that turret. Doran no ult for just a few more seconds here. It's about to get it, though. Zeus? Trying to bait him.
He's just... Okay, Ignite comes down. It was all a bait. Down Ignite to the end of it as he will tick out of this one, and Keria will take the kill. Faker does not have flash. He is avoiding these axes very nicely, does hop away, but eventually he is going to go down. As Peanut will pick up the kill. 2v1. Yeah, another Drake going to the hands of T1.
You just don't want to play this type of game with T1, where you're trying to lane swap and you're trying to trade objectives and you're trying to play around these baiting tactics where you're like, ooh, okay, he thinks my ult is down, but it's actually coming back up. No, T1 know your ult. They're actually baiting you, and they're making this into a big play here in mid, into Drake, into Plate's bottom side, for example. They can continue to push. Now we're looking at a 20 CS lead for Guma. And, you know, Chovy not getting that plate gold from the Herald hurts, but also the death here and no mythic for him and no damage done whatsoever to mid turret, because even though LeBlanc has spent a lot of time this game in the top lane, it matters very little about how much damage is done there compared to the mid turret, because that's the central point as a LeBlanc player that you need removed. As Doran is just like, oh man, I thought I was going to kill him. Then he ults through Ignite and dies. It's not what you want, and it's not what he was planning, but he was just caught a little bit off guard, as Faker will pay for this, but he's baiting this so that they can guarantee that they get that bottom Drake, because we could have seen Chovy teleport to bottom turret and then come over and contest. Faker's just pushing all the way to the turret to make sure that both the jungler is top here and that LeBlanc doesn't TP.
You got to put on the pressure in order to open up the rest of the map, so he does that. Does have to pay his life for it, which is not great, as he gives Peanut another kill and allows him to finish his score drinker already. So Peanut with the power farming, actually, you know, very equal farming from the side of Oner as well. So it's just actually the two kills that are helping him out. As Faker is basically just ignoring Chovy and hitting the turret. He's like, I don't care. Meanwhile, Peanut is here. He's got Oner nearby, so he should be fine.
Faker has an extra hex trigger, feels really brave with it. And it's, you know, quite an unusual build. You went, obviously, CDR boots here, and then just gone for some additional MR while stacking his tier. So we don't know what his main build is going to be just yet, but he just wants to follow Chovy, make sure Chovy doesn't get ahead or get fed in this game in any way. And just pushing him into turrets is absolutely the right way to play it if you have a long-range engage follow-up with the Sejuani. Speaking of,
Peanut is in the enemy jungle. Remember, he does not have flash, so he might just go down, but he is standing his ground, actually. Is not scared of anything, as Faker's got a massive shield, probably the Hexdrinker in there as well, as does take a bunch of damage, but you see that Gen Z are just being routed here. Delight as well going to be collateral damage on the backside of this one, as he was just trying to help.
Doran is just, unfortunately, holding this wave on top side, can't help out at all. Had his ultimate there, but was on the wrong side of the map, didn't have TP, so had to walk top side. There's no way he could save his team there. And it's just this Sejuani. He's the problem. He's going to go first item Maw Malmortius here, Faker is, because why not when you're just trying to follow a LeBlanc? And Peanut's coming in here to catch a Tahm Kench. There's just so much long range engage between the Tahm Kench and the Sejuani that, yeah, you're trying to force this, you're trying to bait this because you have both of your Rakan and the LeBlanc nearby, and you have Gore Drinker, so you're like, all right, this is the fight we force, and whoever comes over here will get baited in. But just don't play these games with T1. They will engage cleanly, they will punish you, they will win these.
Yeah, and Guma gets here first. I mean, he's been having Cryo on the bot side this entire game. Outside of the shenanigans on the top side of the map, he's ahead about, well, he was 30 CS ahead. He's able to get in there. They even had the scuttle for extra movement speed to get him in position, and he's just able to clean up at the end of the fight. So, it's a better fought team fight there from the side of T1.
And you're just not ahead to be forcing these. Peanut is, like you mentioned, he has the Gore Drinker, but nobody else is, so you don't have the items to actually win these skirmishes, unfortunately. You don't have the CC either.
Yeah. Now we have Leandri's here on Chovy. That's the choice this time around.
I think it's a good one, but
lots of health stacking.
It's a lot of health stacking, and you're also just not in a position to pop off carry this game either. You know, you're just going to be more utility this time around, and that damage is massive against even the tanky supporters. They're going to look for a wraparound.
Yeah, Keria's in a lot of trouble here as he will flash and gets away. Meanwhile, the entire team is looking to dive him under the turret. They will be successful. This is 5 members of Gen G in the mid lane right now.
Okay, TP flank coming through.
Not sure about that. Chains of Corruption are down, so a lot of damage already into Peanut. They're essentially trying to count him out of the fight here. As a lot of poke into Doran as well. Trying to corral them in as it is dodged by Guma. It just flashes away from the Malphite ultimate. Zeus gets in, dodges the engagement. He's alone and exhausted in the back line as Gen G handle the flank perfectly. And they will get everybody out alive, just barely.
Oh man. God. Oh, we all just had to hold our breath and sit on it. Always chug your refillable. And he will get out. And this was very close to being an amazing turn from T1. Gen G, though. Okay, hold on, Faker. He's going to be okay. Will Chovy overextend is the question.
Okay. So I'll take a deep breath.
Yeah, so they do get that critical mid turret down. And this means that Chovy is going to have an opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive this game. Not right now, but in subsequent setups for these objectives, as Gen G look very disinterested in grouping up for this Drake. Doran is down here, but nobody else. So they don't have the critical ultimates they need to actually fight for this. So this may just be Mountain Soul going over to T1. When we say that, we are slowly grouping here, but I mean, Chovy topside with no teleport, I just don't see it. And I think they are just going to try to slow this down while getting Chovy some gold on the top side of the map. That's the plan. Since we don't really need to watch this, we'll see how this all went down. As Peanut comes over here on the flank, Keria is picked very early. And then everything goes very wrong in this engage as the flash is perfect from Guma, and then Delight kind of misses his ultimate, and then they turn things around on the Zeus. I think if Zeus just doesn't try to force this, you're like, okay, we trade some engages, and we lost turret. That's okay. But the Zeus really kind of hard forces this. Delight still has his ultimate. He dodges that. And look at this, man. The shield is just barely enough. The ultimate timing here from Paze is perfect. And it's a one exchange. They do escape with their lives.
And the Shock Blast comes in as... Not sure what we were looking at here in live. Zooming in on Guma, it's not like a flash or anything.
I think just showing like he almost did a billion damage that last fight. It was very close to picking out a double.
At the end, only about 1 million, not a billion.
Yeah.
What can you do? Maybe next fight. So the game is still relatively close. Obviously, the Dragon stacking here for T1 is very nice, especially when you do have Varus and Jace on your team. And even the Sylas is going to really benefit from that scaling, as Zeus in a lot of trouble here. He does have Olaf ultimate, and he will eventually use it, you'd have to imagine, as there it is. But the damage might just be too much. He tries to go back in, but he just dies. So meanwhile, Guma does not have his flash, as in comes Keria. He's got Devour just in case. Doesn't have to use it.
Guma looks, you know, he didn't look really too frustrated or worried at all on his player cam there. Almost looked like just instantly calming, like Olaf no ult. And I mean, Peanuts over here still going to get the red buff for this, as that was the kind of goal, was who can we catch here in the jungle after this pick. We'll be given over. And now you have the bottom turret going down. Chovy's dealing with this top push. And Gen.G is kind of sitting pretty here. Yeah, you gave over Soul Point, but you're in a position now to win some team fights, potentially. You're going to have to win all of them. Because if T1 get that Soul, then this comp becomes so much more difficult to pull off. That being said, it's Liandry's LeBlanc. You know, it is a Xayah who's going to break through a lot of those resistances anyway, so it's not unplayable. It's not lethality Xayah like it has been so much over the last few years. We don't play that anymore. It's, with the Kraken Slayer here, all the itemization good for the Soul. Zeus is just baited in super hard. And this is not a situation where there's a cross map. Like, look at the mini-map. This is just on him. He's playing too aggressively this time around.
Yeah, he's been struggling this last couple of games. It does show. As meanwhile, Chovy trying to be very annoying to Guma, who, you know, at times, especially with the Tahm Kench, there's not a lot of trade back, of course. You're just kind of sitting there trying to dodge some of the LeBlanc stuff. So if Gen.G ever get in the lead, this is where Chovy can begin to pop off.
Yeah, and he's doing a lot of damage. And a lot of that damage has ended up being impactful, leading to eliminations. You know, he's 4/5 of his team's eliminations he was involved in, right? And he's been making such critical plays here on the Tahm Kench in particular. Just bleeding through that health bar, and the Sylas and Science has been really massive. You can see even in that moment where Zeus used the Olaf ult. I mean, look at this damage. They use the Olaf ult to try to get away from the chains, but it's like, no, the chains just kill you, actually. It's Liandry's. You cannot be CC'd, but you will still burn down and die. And I think the itemization here from Gen.G is really awesome. I mean, down to the Xayah Kraken Slayer, I think is exactly the right choice he wants here into this comp, and when you consider the Soul, it feels even better.
Zeus, okay. He's not going to back, actually. And what was meant as a counter pick for the Malphite, at the end of the day, you know, Malphite builds a couple of tanky items. How much are you really going to do as a Sylas just on a Rod of Ages, who is still stacking, which is still stacking. Rod of Ages, not a person, turns out. So he's not really doing much in the side lane.
Nope.
Against Doran, so he's kind of just catching waves.
And he's going to be a worse Malphite in these team fights, too, into a comp that has great disengage. Chovy.
Chovy? Gotta be careful about that one. Everybody on T1 is right there and ready to trade back.
Yeah, not the Liandry setup he was looking for this time, trying to apply it to a few members, and
yeah, he's very fed. I think he's like excited to really do some big boom boom damage.
He has 7 stacks of Dark Seal, and he's not afraid to use them. He's going to have a Shadow Flame here as his 3rd item, too, so he's going to do a lot of damage. Even though Luden's is a lot more burst damage than Liandry's, LeBlanc will still do burst damage with Liandry's. It's just then applying burn damage over a heavily stacked you know, team. So don't get me wrong, this is not just a, okay, he didn't go Luden, so he can't burst people. He still can, as we have seen.
Yeah, of course. Liandry's still definitely a very viable option, even if
Delights
are looking for this. Says, okay, he's going to get the flash out of Keria. So much poke damage comes in, but they don't have Sylas. As here they go, Gen.G are just going super deep. Can they get on the backlines? The question is no. Guma stands his ground, but Keria will be the first person to go down. Doran, the second, though, and a lot of low health bars here. As Zeus steals the Rakan ultimate, he's looking for it on the base, and he will get in that backline. And that is a couple of kills for Zeus. Make it 3, actually, as he picks up the triple, and that will be Mountain Soul for T1.
You can't just do this right before Mountain Soul. You can't actually force this like this if you're not going to commit. And you can see the hesitation from Gen.G. They ult with Peanut so they could set up for the knock-up here from Doran. And then when they don't end up hitting Guma, there's a moment of hesitation during Doran's stopwatch where they're like, do we follow up on this? Do we actually force this, or do we walk away? Half of the team walks away, then they walk back in. The follow-up isn't there. They can't push Guma away. And then Doran comes out of stopwatch and dies, and that's the end of the story. FaZe is the next to go down. And this is Mountain Soul now and Baron.
Mountain Soul is going to help so much on this turn. Like, T1 do not have to take this Baron. They do have the smites. They do have the ability to go for it, but stolen Malphite ultimate is now they try to get in onto Chovy. Fantastic stopwatch timing. Will it matter, though, as they're trying to get into there, as Pina will be the last one, and Zeus has his own insane stopwatch timing as he will survive, and Chovy is on the run.
Oh, Zeus has been making so many huge plays. Chovy is in trouble.
Yeah, Chains of Corruption, that's the end of him, as so many ultimates get thrown straight into his face, as the last auto from Guma will do it, and that should be the Baron, although Genji are sticking around.
Yeah, Genji just sticking around here, but I mean, it's FaZe who has to carry. He has no ult, he has no summoners. Good luck with that one. Doran does have ult.
Not a lot of ults here on the side of T1, I suppose, as, yeah, Doran is going to be the one looking for the angle.
They've got to find Guma somehow, but there's just such a front line here, and I just don't think you can stop this.
They don't even have Smite. Yeah, they're just going to give it away. T1, a massive leap into the lead here. They take a big team fight. They take the Mountain Soul Baron, and another small team fight as well.
And watch this fight here, where you're looking for a big Malphite ultimate. You have Peanut ulting with you, so you get on top of everybody, but you don't get Guma. He's at full health, and then Doran's like, oh, I'm dead. Stopwatch comes through, they see Zeus, and then there's a moment of hesitation. The flash is, you know, not ideal here, but then Zeus steals away the Recon ultimate, and he is so low econ this game. He is so extremely low econ, but he's got a great flank, and he was punished for his last attempted flank. This time he gets the big money ultimate stolen away from Recon. And then here, Chovy is just trying his best. His stopwatch is perfect. And then once again, Zeus makes a stopwatch happen after the stolen ultimate. Just able to survive. And Chovy gets nothing back for this and will eventually go down because Keria collapses here with the Chains of Corruption from Guma.
Yeah, and Guma's not scared. He's got Mountain Soul. He's like, yeah, I can just frontline this one. And they do get the kill. And yeah, I think you're exactly right. Wolf, either Genji have to 100-0 Guma or Faker, like someone who is really threatening in terms of damage on T1, or you cannot go for that engage. They saw the angle because Zeus wasn't there, he didn't have TP, but the execution wasn't there. Once again, that's kind of been the theme for today. They needed to get the kill right off the bat, and they did, and now T1 are massively in the lead, and the damage is just being thrown out in spades, as even Doran can barely survive. And everybody's health bars are just going by the wayside. Chovy here on the run from a Tom Kench. As with the Baron buff, T1 are looking to push the bottom lane and maybe end this game.
Yeah, I mean, they have so many minions here. It has to be FaZe's defense. And he just doesn't have the items. He's sitting on Kraken Slayer Quick Blades here.
Yeah, it's really not enough for him. And see what he can do. Peanut just trying to draw the minions away, trying to keep them leashed. T1, that is. Because now he's in a bit of trouble. Zeus goes in, forces a Feather Storm, so now that's another ult gone.
Peanut still has his Gore Drinker, but it's so hard for him to do anything.
Keria tries to engage, and now Guma's his front line. He's just going to kill Chovy, basically. As Chovy barely gets away.
I mean, this is almost the end of the series here. If T1 could just continue to push, they have another wave coming through. They're going to back away. Not going to risk giving another lead here to Genji. Still got 40 seconds of Baron buff to use. They can get their empowered recalls and take the lead they've gotten and buy some additional items. Now 3 items for the Varus, 3 items for this Jace. And we talked about the low econ Zeus here this game on Sylas, but now he's got a bounty, and those 2 critical items that you need as a Sylas are completed. He has the Zonias, and he's halfway to a Void Staff with a lot of the gold he picked up in those team fights, plus the Baron. And T1 are completely in control of this game. It's a 4,000 gold lead, but what they have on the map right now is worth even more, plus the Mountain Soul.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically unwinnable here from Genji, unless they get a great flank off with Doran.
Well, they got to do what they tried to do in the last fight, but now they're even just very massively behind. In the last fight, actually, they were pretty even. Like, they had a good angle, and Zeus wasn't even there, but this was not meant to be.
If they identified Zeus where he was, and if they had decided to, you know, peel off and go towards him a little bit more decisively, maybe that could have been the win, but the timing super disjointed, and Doran just pressed go with Peanut. Unfortunately, it wasn't the right call. If you can't kill the carry, it's not going to matter. And now Genji just desperate for a defense here. And they will be able to stave off the Baron.
It's a lot of vision around the Elder Drake that was just put up here by Peanut and Delight, so they've got that going on at least. While T1 is busy pushing the top wave, but yeah, they back off with a minute left, and T1, with all the gold that they have, can buy a bunch of stopwatches, control wards, get ready for this Elder Drake fight.
Yeah, I mean, these wards are going to be cleared by T1, and that's really critical because Doran has TP. And if he is able to TP flank, maybe that's one way you kill the carry. But, I mean, okay, I say they're going to clear these. Actually missing this one.
How about we just run straight through all of them?
And there are some sweepers available, but they just didn't expect that ward to be there. There's also a ward behind the pit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I think that Genji can win off of these, but it's their best bet, and here we go.
Okay, pings onto the teleport. Should know about this. Guma has Flash and Ghost and everything. As now they definitely know. Maybe they didn't actually know.
Oh,
no. Just ulting into the pit, trying to get this one going. And the rest of the team is just trying to get in there. They fight Guma, who is left alone in the pit. But the damage from Faker's too high. The Gordringer, though, on the side here is Pays desperate to try to live, but he will not. He gets hit by a huge shock blast from Faker. And now Chovy is only damage left here on the side of Genji. They choose the wrong clone, actually. As Chovy's still on the run, and their base is in tatters, and it's being pushed in through the bottom lane.
Yep, they're just pinging it already. TP coming through. What a sad way to lose this series.
Well, it looks like Peanut might be taken out here by his fellow veteran Faker, or perhaps not, as T1 looks like this will be the end of it. As 3-1 will be the score. Very one-sided in the last 9 minutes of this game after one big team fight from the side of T1 as they take down the Nexus and they move on to their 4th